Hi my angels and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a 1 palette 3 looks kind of video. I've done quite a few of these on my channel, and actually I've done quite a lot of them with the Naked palettes from Urban Decay. And if you guys have been a long time follower of my channel, then you will know that Urban Decay is one of my favorite brands ever. And I'm talking like 15 years ago, before YouTube, Instagram, all of that ever existed. I've been a huge fan, and they actually asked me if I wanted to partner up with them for this video, and I said hell yes, because I love them so much, and I was so excited when they announced the launch of this new Naked Cherry palette. I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw pictures of this, I thought the palette would be quite pink almost, but when I saw it in the flesh, they were more kind of mauvey purple tones, and they complement brown eyes beautifully. So I couldn't wait to get this onto my eyes, especially these two colors here. So this one's called Turn On and this one's called Ambitious, because these were the first two that I swatched because I was just drawn to them, and they swatch so beautifully. And of course the Urban Decay eyeshadows blend like a dream, and this palette is nothing else. I actually want to say that this is the palette that probably blends up the easiest out of all of the other Naked palettes that I've got. So I am really excited to show you guys this palette. I'm going to be showing you 3 different looks. One of the looks is quite like minimal. It's something that I do quite a lot, and that's literally buffing like one shade all over my eyelid. But after playing around with this palette for quite a few weeks, I've actually realized that there are so many colors in here that you can buff out and just put all over the lid as a wash of color. Personally, the colors that I love using like by themselves is this shade right here, which is called Feels. I also love Juicy and Bing, and also the shade Devilish, which is right here. It's slightly deeper, but this is the shade that I like using when I want to feel like I've made loads of effort with my makeup, but actually I've just buffed this shade all over the eyelid. So I guess you could say that's like my eyeshadow hack. Come to think of it, these two shades right here, which are actually my favorite, the 2 shimmery shades, these two guys would look amazing as well, just washed over the eyelid with a bit of a transition shade in the crease. I'm actually so glad that the Naked palettes have kind of ventured out into different color spectrums, and if you're anything like me and you love collecting the Naked palettes, this would also make for an amazing gift as well, especially with like Christmas and everything coming up, whether you've got birthdays or even just like a just because gift. If you want to give something to someone, this is perfect for any makeup lover out there. I want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything about this. I will also leave a link to the other videos that I've done similar to this in the info box as well for you guys, so you can check them out. I feel like I have mentioned everything and I don't want this intro to get too long, so I'm going to leave it as that. If I have forgotten anything, it'll all be in the info box below. But yeah, if you guys would like to see 3 different looks that I've created using the Urban Decay Naked Cherry palette, then please keep watching. So for look number 1, and actually every look, my base is already done. I have used the All Nighter Cherry version. Setting spray is my primer, my All Nighter foundation, the All Nighter concealer, and then also the Shapeshifter palette to like bronze up and contour my face. So we are going to be moving on to the eye portion, and first of all I have primed my eyes using the eyeshadow primer potion, and taking the shade Feels, I am basically building this color up onto my eyelid. So what I find with when you're doing one eyeshadow all over your eyelid is that you can apply more of that shadow in certain areas to make it look like it's a different color. So here I'm applying a little bit more into the crease, so it looks a little bit like deeper in shade and it adds a little bit more of a shadow. And then I'm doing the exact same thing to the other eye and blending out that crease with a clean, fluffy blending brush. Once that's done, you could leave it as there, but I took the shade Hotspot and I highlighted my brow bone. And this is a really stunning matte highlight shade. It's actually really nice. So I decided to pop that on to my brow bone, and you can totally again leave this here, but I wanted to add a little bit of pizzazz and give you guys another option to glam up a little bit more. So I'm taking the shade Turn On and I'm using that as my inner corner highlight, and it's a very subtle highlight because in certain lights it looks quite bright and then the other lights it looks quite nude. So it's really nice for when you just want to add like a little bit of a glam aspect to the eyeshadow. Next up, moving on to mascara, I'm taking the Troublemaker mascara and I'm popping that onto my lower lashes. And then the eyes are complete. I didn't want to smoke out the lower lash line or anything. I wanted to keep it quite clean and almost daytime appropriate. Taking the Naked Cherry Highlight and Blush Palette, I'm taking the blush shade, which is the middle shade, and I'm popping that on to the apples of my cheeks. A really beautiful all year round colour. It's nothing too bright, nothing too dark. You can definitely get a lot of use out of this. And then I'm taking the highlight shade, not the super white shade, but the more kind of champagne-y shade, and I'm adding that onto the tops of my cheeks. This is such a stunning formula. I just love the way it makes my cheeks glow. So I'm just adding that onto there. And then time for lipstick. I'm taking the shade Fuel and I'm popping that onto my lips. You could totally pretty much wear any color, but I wanted to go for something quite nudie and peachy. Then taking the All Nighter Cherry Scented Setting Spray, I'm spraying the whole of my face. And that, you guys, is look number 1. Super, super easy to do. You can skip out the eyebrow highlight and the inner corner highlight if you wanted to, and just keep it super simple. But I went for a little bit of a glam option for you guys. We are going to go from soft to loud looks bit by bit. So we're going to move on to the second makeup or eyeshadow look. And my eyelids are already primed. And then I'm taking a mixture of the shades Caution and Feels. And I'm buffing this into my crease. And I like to use like small amounts of eyeshadow and build it up because it's so much more easy to control the amount of color that you're getting in that area. And here I'm doing the exact same thing to the other eye, just building up that colour into the crease and making sure at the end of it that both of the eyes are looking as similar as possible. And in case you're wondering, the brush that I'm using is actually the brush that came in the palette, and I actually really like the quality of it. The fluffy side is so fluffy and makes all the eyeshadows super easy to blend. Then I'm taking the shade Devilish. Love the shade name, but I'm deepening up the crease. So I'm really pushing and hugging my kind of crease and getting that color really into that area and really buffing and blending out, as you can see here. So that exact crease area where my socket is looking much darker than the first 2 colors that we applied in the crease. I always find, like, if anyone struggles with eyeshadow, always start off with small amounts of eyeshadow and kind of take your time with blending, because you can do like a super simple eye, and as long as it's blended really nicely, it'll look like a really like intricate, amazing like glam eye, if you know what I mean. So I'm just taking my time blending away and making sure both of the eyes are looking the same as possible. So I wanted to deepen up the crease a little bit more, so I'm taking the shade Privacy and I'm applying that into the crease as well. The reason why I want my crease to be really quite deep and defined almost is because we are going to be doing a cut crease for this look, because I wanted something quite like glam, but still you can kind of wear this in the daytime as well if you really wanted to. So yeah, I'm just really building up that crease shade, and it doesn't matter if the actual lid space on your eyeball of your eyelid is messy, because we are going to go and cover that up with some concealer. So I'm taking my All Nighter concealer, as you can see here, and I am very slowly starting to cut the crease. And I like using a flat shader brush for this and with a rounded end, so it helps with cutting the crease and it kind of helps do the hard part for you. And one thing that I do like to do is I like to take an eyeliner brush right at the end and really neaten up that area, as you can see me doing here. I did do the other eye off camera, but I do have an in-depth tutorial of how to do a cut crease, which you guys can check out on my channel. Then taking the shade Hotspot, I'm just going to add that onto the area where we applied the concealer, and this is just going to set that place before we add any kind of colour on top. And again, you want to make sure that it's really neat where the crease is actually cut, if you know what I mean, because you don't want that to look messy, because we're not going to be colouring in or covering it up with any kind of glitter or anything like that. So once that's all done, I'm taking the shade Turn On, which is really, really stunning. A very subtle but stunning gold shade. And I just love the way this looks swatched and also on my eyelids as well. And I'm applying that on top of the area where we cut that crease and slowly blending it into the outer third. We are going to go and deepen up that outer third anyways, but just going to make sure that the colour is nice and saturated in that area before doing the next step. So here I'm doing the same thing on the other eye. And then once that's done, we are going to deepen up the crease using that using that same shade Privacy. It's a really nice dark matte brown, and it's just going to help add like further dimension, because you don't want the cut crease to look really flat. You want it to look really nice in 3D. And I find that going in and adding more of a deeper shade back into that outer third really helps with that kind of look and feel of it. And this is pretty much the cut crease done. Again, take your time with this and practice, because practice makes perfect. Then for eyeliner, I'm taking Psychedelic Sister, which is a really stunning purple shade. I wanted to add like a bit of colour to this look. You can totally like skip this bit and just add like black or brown eyeliner to your lower lash line. But I wanted to add something a little bit different, so I went with a deep purple shade, and I made that really quite messy on my lower lash line and went back in with Privacy and blended that out and smoked out the lower lash line, because we are slowly amping all these looks up, and I wanted to make sure this one was a little bit more like smoky and grungy in comparison to the first one. Then for lips, I decided to go in with 1993 liquid lipstick. Such a beautiful brown shade. You could technically wear this look like this, but I wanted to add a bit of a kind of nude tone to it, so I did actually add another color on top, and the color that I used was the shade Naked, and that again is a really stunning color. Both of these colors you could wear actually by themselves with this look, but I decided to do my usual thing and mix two colors together because I love mixing lipsticks onto my lips. So yeah, that is the end of this look, but I did go in and add a little bit of that cheek highlight into my brow highlight just to make sure everything's tied in together. And this, you guys, is the third look. I forgot to say, my eyelashes I've already stuck on before this, like the start of this video, just to make everything a lot more easier, and so I wasn't like ripping out my eyelashes at the same time. So yeah, you can pop on your favorite pair of lashes with any of these looks, or you can just wear normal mascara as well. So time for look number 3, and this is going to be super grungy and super, super glam. So I'm taking the shade Feels and Bing. Doesn't that shade name remind you of Chandler Bing? Anyone? But I'm taking that and a mixture of those two shades, and I'm applying that into the crease. Again, working quite slowly and building up that colour as and where I feel like it needs to be. Because I want a really nice gradient for this, I'm going back in with just the shade Bing to deepen that crease up a little bit more. So before we took a mixture of Feels, which is the lighter colour, just to help kind of start that transition shade going. This time around, I'm taking just that Bing shade, which is actually a really beautiful mauvey shade. And I'm getting that right into the crease and making sure it's nice and blended before moving on to the next colour. And this is the part where we're going to start deepening things up, and we're going to create almost a bit of a halo eye. So I'm taking the shade Privacy, and I'm applying that on to the outer third of my eye, and I'm going to do this on both of the eyes, and I'm really kind of pressing that colour into that area because I want that area to be really, really dark, and I don't want it to be super, super diffused because I want it to look like a really beautiful like 3D halo eye. So I'm really building up that colour and then very slowly just blending out the edges. I'm trying not to blend out the whole shade, just literally where the edges are, just so that we keep that intensity there on the outer corners of the eyes. So you can see just very slightly me blending that out, and I am taking a little bit of Bing just to help blend that out a little bit more. So then taking that same shade, I am just deepening that up, and I'm also adding a little bit of Devilish into that as well, just to really help kind of blend all those colours in together. And then I'm doing the exact same thing to the inner third of my eye. I try and make sure I don't go too far up because otherwise it can look a little bit too grungy. And sometimes for my eye shape, if I go too far up, it just looks too kind of smoky in that area. So I'm keeping it really like on the eyelid portion where my eyeball is and not going too far up into the crease. And making sure everything again is blended out really nicely. And I did take a mixture of like Privacy and Devilish and kind of join those two colours up in the crease, just so that it doesn't look like blobs of colours in the outer and inner portions of my eyes, and just so that everything looks a little bit more kind of neater and put together. So here you can see me do that, and then I'm just flipping the brush around and making sure that everything is nice and blended. So the next step is adding a bit of pizzazz to the eye, and because I wanted to add some sort of glitter, but I wanted like a really beautiful base for that. So I'm taking the shade Ambitious, such a stunning bronzy shade, and I'm packing that on to the middle portion of the eye where there's no eyeshadow. So this is going to create that halo eye, and I'm doing the exact same thing onto the other eye as well. And just go to town with this. You can actually add some setting spray to your brush to make that color really intense if you want to, but as you can tell, it's got just such a beautiful like shimmer to the middle part of the eye. But like I said, we're going to be amping this up, so I'm just making sure that the outer and inner portions of the eyes are still nice and deep and dark. This is the bit, because I've got my eyelashes on already, I can kind of gauge exactly where I want to add more color, and this is what I love doing right at the end of every single makeup look. And I like to keep this in because I want you guys to know exactly every single step that I do to create the eye that I want in the end of it. So this is pretty much almost done, but we are going to add some glitter, which is one of my favorite things to do. I'm just taking a clean fluffy bending brush and just blending the crease area out. And then I'm taking these two glitter shades and I'm adding them on to my middle bit of the eye. This is just going to make that halo area pop a little bit more, and it's just going to like make it really extra glam. And you guys know I love glitter, so I had to go in and have some sort of heavy metal glitter in one of the eye looks. So I decided to go for this. Taking the eyeliner in the shade Rockstar, I am popping that on to my lower lash line. Again, making that quite like messy in that area because we are going to go and really smoke the lower lash line out. So once I'm done with getting that on there, I am taking that same Privacy shade and I'm just really smoking that area out to make it look super grungy, super glam, but also not forgetting the highlights. I'm taking that same highlight shade from the blush and highlight palette and adding that onto my top brow bone area. And this is again just going to tie the whole look together. Taking my favorite shade of the Vice liquid lipstick. This is in the shade Back Talk. Absolutely love this shade. Whenever I wear this, I always get so many compliments of people asking what I've got on my lips, and it's always this color. It's like my lips but better. I absolutely love it. But you guys, this is the third and final eyeshadow look. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I don't know which one's my favorite. I love the first one because it's so easy. I love the second one because I just low-key love a cut crease, but this one's just so glam and grungy. I can't pick. You guys let me know what's your favorite in the comments below. Please don't forget to subscribe as well. Thank you very much to Decay for partnering up with me on this video. And I guess that's all for me for now, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!